Howdy YouTube pards. This is Jack Spade here, coming to you from High Noon Leatherworks, where we're going to show you step by step how to create leather goods from patterns all the way to the finished product. Stay tuned. What's up YouTube pards? Back here, Jack Spade with High Noon Leatherworks, and we're episode 6, where we're back with the 1800s double loop leather holster. And today we're going to do a little bit of dyeing, and as we said in the past episodes, we were going to do black, so I think we're going to stick with that. And we're also going to put in our stitching holes. We're going to do that before we dye it, so stick around and we'll get started. Alright, we got some tools today that we're going to use. We got these punching awls. They're equally spaced together. This is for our stitching. Make sure our stitches are equally spaced together. We've got this one that's got 6. This one's got 4 on it. This one's got 2. Depending on the span and how straight your line is for your stitching, determines how many you can use at one time. Going around a corner, the 2 works great. Get pretty tight corner, 4 is not going to make it, so you're going to have to go down to 2. Then when you get around the corner and you get back to the straighter line, you can go ahead and go back to your 4 or your 6. I prefer the 4 over the 6 just because it's easier to pull out of the leather once you punch through it. It seems like the more that you have, the harder it is to pull that out of the leather. Something that I do use to help that is I use a little beeswax, and I'll actually from time to time just coat my tool with beeswax, and I'll punch 3 or 4 times, and then I'll coat my tool with beeswax again. That helps release the tool out of the leather. Some of the other things we'll be using today, we'll be using daubers, and this is for the dye. Some people use rags. I prefer the daubers. They hold a lot of dye. Black is probably, in my opinion, the most forgiving dye as far as leaving any streaks or marks or anything like that and being able to get it on even. We'll be using our mallet with our punches, and then we'll have our black dye, and I do like to use Fibings. That's my favorite dye to use. I've used some others, but Fibings is my favorite. And then we'll have some rubber gloves to keep our hands from, because you get this dye on your hands, it's not going to wash off. So make sure you always wear some rubber gloves. And then I pick these little containers up. They're real shallow. I pick them up at the dollar store. You can get 12 of them for $1, and it's real nice because it's about the right depth for that dauber, and then you don't waste dye. So I find myself adding dye throughout the process if I need to, but I never find myself throwing away dye because I poured it into too deep of a container. And these are so cheap, once I'm done, I just throw it away with my gloves and my dauber, and then I can move on to something else. So I will be using a scrap piece of leather also for underneath my holster as I do my punching for my stitching holes. I don't want to actually go into my wood, so I'll put this scrap piece of leather under there so the punch actually goes into that. So let's go ahead and I'll move you and we'll get started. Well, I apologize. I had some technical difficulty with my camera. It shut off on me. Didn't realize it. So, did get the dye on. Put it on both sides. It is still damp. And I'll let this sit here for 24 hours and dry. I made sure that I got it coated. I only gave it 1 coat of dye. Made sure I got it coated on both sides and on the edge. This Fibings low VOC black leather dye. It doesn't have a real strong odor to it, and it coats really good in one coat. So I normally only give black one coat. Some of the other colors may need more than one coat, but that's your personal preference. So again, I apologize that my camera shut off on me, but you can see that it is really coming together. It's really taking shape. Okay, so episode 6 comes to a conclusion. We've got our holster dyed black, and next time we come back to episode 7, we'll start doing some stitching, and it'll really start coming together. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.